the Baron, the game just ends before you get to take over with scaling.
And when we're praising a team like OpTic for clean macro decisions and good play around the map as a team, that's just that much more worrying for Clutch, because if you do make those couple of mistakes, if you give them that chance, they're going to run away with it.
Yeah, they definitely are. I mean, OpTic has just been looking so damn strong. Really on an incredible run. I mean, from 2-6 to 7-6 is a pretty crazy change of fortune.
They were on a 5-game loss streak, I think. Then they went 5-game win streak. It was all when powerOfEvil started posting memes on Twitter.
As soon as he started flaming his teammates.
As soon as he started flaming his teammates being the heaviest animals on Earth.
And that's really the lesson to take away here. When you flame your teammates, you go on a 5-game win streak.
Encouraging terrible habits. I apologize for this, but that's the timeline we've found ourselves in as picks and bans are rolling out. It's Tahm Kench and Morgana banned out by Clutch, targeting that support pool, as well as Clutch Gaming actually banned the Aatrox away on blue side, leaving OpTic a very unexpected actual second ban on red without having to do both the Nocturne and the Aatrox. That means they get to ban both Varus and Rakan.
Yeah, pretty strange to see that, but I mean, if you're not willing to pick it and the other team knows that, then that can end up hurting you. So hey, they're going to spend that ban. Is not the biggest price to pay, but a first pick braum coming in for Clutch.
Don't get baited, audience. They're not picking this stuff.
Good looking out.
I'm protecting you. I'm letting you down easy.
Don't want them to get too hyped. You know, Tryndamere, with all the split pushes that we've been seeing, Tryndamere has a pretty good win rate these days. He takes Ignite very easily. TP's getting nerfed.
Doesn't he also build AP and just spin?
Yeah,
he's like a little Beyblade.
Yep, exactly. You max E, get 45% CDR. You're spinning every 4 seconds. You're like a casted and rift walking with no mana costs.
Well, we will get to see something pretty exciting this game. The Pyke picked up as the support for Big. This champion can be a lot of fun to watch if he can get those hooks set up and find the big ultis in the team fights. We'll see if he can facilitate that with the Gragas also being picked up on the side of OpTic Gaming, as Clutch say, all right, we're going to go ahead and grab the Kindred.
Definitely expecting Gragas to go to Akaadian, but there is a possibility it goes top here to Dhokla. Either way, I think that's a pretty good read from OpTic that Clutch may be actually going for the Kindred here, because Gragas considered a fairly good matchup into Kindred. Utilizing displacement to actually get the Kindred out of their ultimate can be pretty powerful. Could actually be seeing the Quinn get locked in. We saw Sneaky bring it out a couple of times. Draven is actually another of Arrow's picks, so both of these would be fairly reasonable, and it's looking like we're actually just, oh, okay. From the most exciting
what did I tell you
to
guys?
the most disappointing. They actually got me with that, though.
They got you.
They got me because Arrow has played Draven a reasonable amount of times in the NLCS.
Just Hover and Tyler picks. That's all.
There you go. Well, Ezreal did break the loss streak in the NLCS.
He
but
did.
Had lost like 13 straight games. 1-1 yesterday, I believe. Sven was playing it in TSM's victory yesterday, so not all losses anymore, but Ezreal is just always strikes me as such like a, it's like I don't want to lose more type pick.
Yep.
And yes, you still certainly can take over, but there's such a big power trough now, you know, with the tier, with having to take the scaling up mana items. There is so much about the early game. If you are going to go late, if you are going to try to spread the map and play split push, though, hey, maybe the Ezreal is that kind of marksman to do it, because you can stay safe, you can avoid those engages, you can wave clear it out, and look to scale up yourself. So we'll see if that means OpTic wants to go once again back towards a split pushy style.
Looking at where the bans are going in the second part of the draft here, you can see a lot of focus towards the mid lane. Azir and Ahri both going to be banned out now, but those ever so notorious picks, the Zoe, the Orianna, both still up. LeBlanc will be taken out by the side of OpTic, and when you take out LeBlanc, I tend to believe you're thinking Zoe.
Yeah, I can definitely see a potential Zoe pick, but at the same time, Zoe's generally pretty good into Azir, so it's really hard to know, and PoE has so many crazy picks. I mean, you can see an Ahri ban, which is not standard at all these days, being thrown over powerOfEvil's way. He also has been playing things like Victor, he's played the Talon, he plays a lot of crazy stuff, and it makes it very hard to predict what this guy is going to do in draft. He's also performing at just such a damn high level. Will be looking like the Orianna. I think they are going to leave that top lane pick for last, which again, you know, their bans, their picks have all kind of led me to believe that they may be going again for the split push. It is going to be a blind Gangplank for solo, so we'll see if Dhokla wants to kind of opt into that side lane play. Split push can be tough to pull off against Gangplank though, because even if you put him behind, once this guy hits Triforce, you clear waves so freely with your ultimate, with your barrels. Exactly. So it's, you know, it's usually better to go for a more snowbally pick as a counter pick and try to slam lane and then go to team fight. So we'll see what they're going to opt into.
Well, on the side of OpTic, I actually like
Yorick
this.
again.
This is highly possible. There we go. Now we can get excited. It's Yorick locked in for OpTic. I was happy to see the blind pick, carry pick for Clutch Gaming because OpTic is the squad that will answer that. We heard the spicy commentary from Prawley last game about how we were daring them to go to carry versus carry. They chickened out. They wanted to play tank into carry. That's not OpTic's MO. Dhokla has found success this week and last week by being put on comfort picks, by his team just saying, okay, play the stuff that you're good at playing. Play Camille, play Yorick, play this stuff that you know that you can definitely contribute with and make these games have an entirely different impact. And I'm excited to see him on this pick.
And it's so fun to see him proving so many people wrong who talk about champions like Yorick and say, yeah, but that would never work in pro play, right? That's a garbage champion. It's only a solo queue style champion. The win conditions are too limited, but he made it work against Gangplank in the previous matchup. Yeah, he followed his heart. It is one of the best win rates against Gangplank as far as solo queue is concerned. It is a very, very strong matchup. The fact that Gangplank has no easy ways out of the cage really makes it difficult for him.
You can't
you can lock him in. You can't orange out of that CC. You're locked into there. If you actually hit your E, you get those ghouls onto him, you can run this guy down. You can take this guy out. We saw it happen against Lorlo in the previous Yorick game. We'll see if it actually does happen here against Solo.
I think that's one of the most interesting parts about this matchup specifically is because up against a champion who can address almost every form of CC in the game, the indirect CC of, hey, here's terrain, is what is so deadly for that Gangplank to have to deal with. And if you're just alone against Yorick and he has that leveled up and it's 4 hits to take it down, Gangplank's standing there chopping at that thing for a while.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're just wasting a couple hits and Yorick is hitting you the whole time, you are getting such a bad trade because you are spending your autos on that wall while he is spending those autos on you. And he's one of those bruisers that really can lock you down, take you out. Gangplank, you certainly can get to that stage against Yorick where you are just wave clearing infinitely, but not if you're being dove, not if you're being pressured by this Gragas who has the potential to look for those sort of plays. And we saw even when Dhokla was pressured very heavily in his previous Yorick game, he still came back. They actually lost first turret, if I recall correctly. They were the ones that were being pressured off, but he still ended up getting way ahead of Lorlo. He still ended up, at one point, in a 1v3 getting 2 kills. You really can take over, and especially, if you are running Demolish, you crush those turrets once you have a Sheen.
Especially if you've got all the ghouls, you've got the Maiden, everybody's there working together to bring them down, and if OpTic can utilize that win condition correctly, get that 6th win in a row, man, that is going to be impressive for a team that has come from where OpTic has 9th place in Spring Split, now performing this well in Summer. And honestly, it's the opposite story for Clutch Gaming, sitting in 10th now after having gone to playoffs last split, after having made their way to the 3rd place match.
Yeah, and not only just going to playoffs, they were the first team to ever beat TSM before the finals in playoffs, right? They were the first team to ever knock down TSM on what had always just felt like, yeah, of course, TSM just makes the finals. That's just what they do, right? Clutch said, no, that is not guaranteed. No, that is not a given. And they were able to take that victory in a huge upset, get all the way to Miami, and here they are, sitting in last place, really struggling.
And talking about playoffs, we mentioned it earlier during Echo Fox versus TSM. We're getting very close to the end of Summer Split. There's not a lot of games left to play. The best Clutch can do right now is break even at 9-9. That can still get you into playoffs, but it's a difficult spot to be in. And speaking of difficult spots, Dhokla's going to find himself the victim of the level 2 Kindred gank. There's no way out of that one. Don't even waste the flash. First blood over to Lira.
2 Kindred ganks today at level 2 where they're able to actually cash in on that kill. Death timers are so low these days though, so he will TP back immediately. Not going to really lose any minions to that turret, but that's that difficulty. The thing with Yorick is you're not actually strong in a fight unless you have your ghouls out. So if you're being pushed in, even if you're getting last hits with your Q to set up those graves, if the wave is pushing towards you, you actually lose the proximity to those graves, and you can't actually have 3 in an area, which is what is required to summon those out. And that is such an important part of this champion. As you see, he doesn't have 3 of those graves, just the second one has been spawned, and level 2 not available, so not going to be able to get out of that one at all.
Good pickup early on from Clutch Gaming, kind of repeating what we saw earlier, the level 2 Kindred gang. Nobody expects it, but sometimes you should if it leaves you that vulnerable. Also putting your Gangplank off to a good start, that's exactly where Solo wants to be.
Yeah, they're going to be really happy about that start. Again, this is similar to kind of what happened. He certainly didn't die as early in the last game, but he did get put behind by the jungler. He was able to come back into this matchup. It is not something where you're just out of it if you get a little bit behind a Yorick. Your actual 1v1 prowess is very, very high as long as you can actually connect with your E and goop him up with the Morning Mist.
Goop him up. We'll see
Goop him up.
who gets in some trouble here as Akaadian goes for the chicken camp invade. He's got Big right behind him, too. Lira's got to be aware that somebody else is there. Nice smite away from Akaadian, making sure he gets away. The devious crime of chicken theft.
Is that a capital crime?
It is a capital crime in my book. That's what I was talking about those darn smite mid laners earlier.
This is a funny thing. This is actually, gonna seem small, but I actually think that Dhokla should have been able to force flash there on Solo. He's TPing in to a full minion wave with your ghouls available. All you have to do is actually drop the cage on the TP'd minion, and you're almost guaranteeing that you hit the Morning Mist. That is a situation where, yes, that is a small thing, but he should have actually just pretty much won the lane off that.
It's a small thing that's a free summoner.
Yeah, free summoner, or you get a tremendous amount of his health down, and he has just used his TP. That could have set up for a potential dive here, so that is a small mechanical thing, but hey, it's actually a pretty big misplay.
Nice aim there from Big, making sure he can yoink Febiven right back to the waiting arms of powerOfEvil. Cage finds its way onto Solo there, but not really any follow-up just yet from Dhokla. And I always sort of enjoyed the phrase, it's a small thing, talking about those little mechanical interactions between players in lane, because League of Legends is a game that's decided by small things. It's not decided by who's just going to run it down mid, because fortunately that's a rather rare occurrence. It's decided by who's going to have those little bits of knowledge, those very slight outplays that tip the scales in their favor.
Yeah, it definitely is, and that to me kind of showed that, hey, both players on either side didn't necessarily fully grasp what could have happened there. Against Yorick, you generally don't want to TP into a minion wave. That's where Yorick is strongest. It's all about control of the minion wave. That's why when he's non-stop pushing, he has the ghouls out. He has the potential to 1v2. But if he is away from a minion wave, has no ghouls, this guy could barely 1v1 anything. So, it's so much about those little plays, those little differences, and either way, Dhokla pretty far down in the farm now. Obviously was ganked early. Did kind of get pushed back as a result of that. And we'll see if Solo can maintain an advantage and hold him down.
Nice little bit of damage coming out from Apollo and Hakuho down here in the bottom lane. Seeing if they can keep this pressure up with the Lucian and the braum. We criticized Clutch Gaming a bit for always drafting so hard for the late game, but not being able to control the early game enough. But with a lane like Lucian and braum, these guys are pretty powerhouse in the bottom lane early on. They're going to be taking a lot of damage right there. They won't expend any summoners to try to secure that kill, and Big will utilize the power of the passive to make sure that he can regenerate enough health.
And this is, again, kind of that power trough that I was talking about. Arrow goes back, gets tier, it's a Vamp Scepter for Apollo. You're going to be pushed in, you need to scale up, you need to be able to kind of wait until you actually have some more combat stats. So it's about just kind of giving up the minimum for them, trying to farm as well as they can under turret, and waiting for Yorick to create advantage, waiting for Gragas to get out there and find some kills. So we'll see how effective they're going to be with that.
powerOfEvil and Febiven also both now level 6 on these mid laners. This is the age of mid laners where level 6 means big burst potential, big wombo combo power.
And you can see that powerOfEvil is actually opting very heavily into burst. Not only has he gone Electrocute instead of Airy, which a lot of people do like to go, he has double Dark Seals. This is like the most laning phase focus that you can really be. Double Dark Seals, he's Inspiration for Time Warp Tonic, he has his Corrupting Potion, he wants immediate power. This is not the sit back and scale it out style of play. He's hoping he can brawl.
Clutch Gaming is hoping for a brawl here in the bottom lane. Lira will be spotted out by the control ward that was placed down earlier by the side of OpTic. They back Arrow and Big away. 2 versus 3 is a hard situation. Lira does not have the ultimate available, and Clutch Gaming will just take this chance to put a lot of damage into that turret. Winter's Bite thrown down onto Big to make sure he doesn't have a chance to jump in and start off this counterattack the way he wants to. Looks to set up the stun here onto Hakuho, who just throws up the Unbreakable, keeps himself nice and safe. And Clutch are very close to finding that first turret.
Yeah, nicely done there by Hakuho. Patient play doesn't pull aggro, doesn't hit him, so the turret doesn't hit him. He has the Unbreakable up before he gets stunned, so he has the reduced damage, and they are really just kind of bullying this 2v2, and the fact that Lira and Febiven were able to roam down, even though they don't actually interact with that 2v2, they're threatening to dive, they're creating additional advantages. This is kind of a funny standoff.
I'll jump over this wall. Don't you make me do it.
Don't test me, I'll do it.
What a madman. Lira gets himself back away from that blue buff pit as the buff itself loses patience and resets, but Lira's right back in there trying to contest this one. All Clutch Gaming right behind him.
And Arrow trying to poke them out, trying to set up for a potential play. The ulti's dropped.
Gangplank ultimate to zone big and the rest of OpTic away. Clutch Gaming still trying to potentially fight for this, but with your Gangplank ulti down, that's a pretty big resource to not have for the fight.
Yeah, and Solo kind of got zoned off the wave. He had to walk around to get back to the turret, so his turret is going to be taking some damage here from Yorick. You know, no ultimate available to actually try to combat him in that 1v1 either, so some little advantages perhaps being gained there by OpTic. They kind of hold on pretty well, but a fairly even trade between Clutch and them on the bottom side of the map. Just kind of a lot of posturing, and will be Clutch that gets the dragon, so that's going to be a nice advantage on their side.
There we go. Clutch making these early plays, trying to make something happen bottom lane, translating it, if nothing else, over into an early Drake, is addressing those problems that we were talking about with the team earlier.
Yeah.
Things running away from you in the early game, you've got to shore that up a little bit. Okay, let's get a bottom lane that wins. Let's get a jungler that can play aggro and try to steal things away, and let's make sure we don't fall into that pit that this team has been stuck in now for 5 games.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been just, it's not like this is a pure late game draft, right? They have good scaling with GP, and Kindred can scale up, but Lucian's much more early game bully, like you said. Strong lane there. Syndra has a lot of early and mid game power, so that is a lot of coming from Febiven, and I think their draft, you know, has a kind of a lot of bases covered. Akaadian is behind Solo here, though. We'll see if he can lock him down in the cage.
2 versus 1 top side. Dhokla summons up the Maiden. Tries to make it happen. Nice flash away from Solo's going to deny that one, but at the same time, you see the enemy jungler top, you take the bottom lane turret, and Clutch Gaming find themselves with an influx of gold from that.
Yeah, Solo flash is going to be forced there, but nothing else. Dhokla wasn't able to cage him up and did drop the Maiden, so it's going to be a lane swap. You see that Arrow's going to go up to the top lane, expecting that Apollo will be heading up there now himself. And you want to keep Dhokla in a side lane. You want to keep him in a 1v1. Whether you're 10-0 or 0-10, you basically just want to run it down a side lane as Yorick. Like, the team fighting is so abysmal. You know,
like, what are you going to do? All right, here's some ghouls that'll die instantly to all the AoE.
You're so kiteable. It's hard to even get the ghouls out because you need 3 last hits with your Q on minions. The waves die too fast, so... Ooh. They do grab that rift. Can they pick it up, though?
Really close. Yeah, you have to pick up the eye. Nobody's anywhere there. Big tries to go in and make sure he can grab it. Wants to get back over the wall. Does flash to do so. Secret Agent Big deep into enemy territory to make sure he gets that objective.
Yeah, it's a good escape from OpTic. They do cost themselves a couple summoners, but hey, you got the Rift Herald. We'll see if that does pay off. And, you know, if too many people get sent over to Dhokla, maybe drop that Rift and get some pressure elsewhere. No TP going to be used from Solo, so Dhokla will have a little bit of time to get some damage down on this turret on the bottom side of the map. And one of the things that's really kind of powerful about Yorick is that the turrets actually target the ghouls first. So if you have, you know, ghouls prepped and already out, the turret will often then target down those ghouls, building more time for the minion wave to actually stack up, and then you can pop your ultimate, which immediately resummons another set of ghouls, and so you're essentially just absorbing so many of the tower shots that all the minions are getting out more damage than they normally would, and that's, you know, one of the things that really contributes to how well he pushes and takes turrets.
Both those top laners working on those Trinity Force pieces as well. You can see both the Sheen and the Phage completed for the Gangplank. Only the Sheen with a longsword now just being turned into a Phage on the side of Dhokla, as the OpTic bottom lane will rotate themselves here into the top side to match what Clutch Gaming has done, as the bottom laners will take their positions, as you so eloquently worded it earlier, running it down that side lane. 1 versus 1, mano a mano, likely for a large portion of this game.
Yeah, Dhokla just wants to keep creating pressure, wait until he can find a misstep from Solo or create an advantage for himself. You know, get one of those kills, get access to the turrets, but he's gonna have to be careful about any potential collapses. Nice cage there, though.
Cage barely finds him and traps him in. Dhokla finding some good damage there. Solo makes sure he eats an orange there at the end of the fight to keep things pretty close. Nice ward over the wall. Dhokla knew that this seemed a little bit strange. Wanted to make sure Lira wasn't coming, and Lira will be spotted out now, so that will be shut down. And with that kill being shut down, honestly, a lot of the things that Clutch Gaming have tried to do have not turned into much. The invade at the blue buff, trying to make some sort of a punish happen at the Rift Herald, the play attempt down their bottom lane. We're 12 minutes in and there's still only 1 kill on the board.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, no real big advantage, but at the same time, Clutch has a strong, solid comp, right? They're not going to just lose for free if it goes late by any means. And, you know, while I do think that Yorick is a really strong matchup in a GP, if GP does not allow you to kind of get on top of him and take him out, again, he's still going to reach that point where he's just clearing waves for free. And if Yorick doesn't get access to the turrets, Yorick is pretty bad in those team fights where GP can just stay in a side lane, wave clear for free, throw his ultimate over with the rest of the team, and then it's like you have the 4.5 members kind of there type of thing.
Drake will be spawning here in about 2 minutes. We'll see if maybe the teams want to fight over that one. It will be Ocean number 2, so not one of those high-value Drakes that just demands everyone's attention. But the top side will now be under siege. Apollo and Hakuho trying to put the damage into this turret like they did in the bottom lane, while mid lane, Big decides, all right, we got to use the Rift Herald eventually. Here we go. Summoning that one up to try to make this push towards the tier 1. Febiven will try to hold the line alone. He does have Lira coming to assist him very soon. Shelly gets the headbutt off. The rest of the minion wave has died off. Lira gets himself hit by the harpoon there from Big, but will not be pulled over the wall, and the push is done.
Yeah, that's about all they'll get. And, you know, OpTic, their bottom lane is losing pretty heavily in the 2v2. You can see, you know, 30 plus CS for Apollo. They have knockdown turret on bot and top. So that Lucian braum lane really is paying off. And yes, Arrow is farming up. Yes, he is scaling up with that tier, but they're giving up a lot of advantages in the meantime. We'll see if this collapse can happen on Lira.
Akaadian wants that punish. Blast cone over the wall from Dhokla to make sure Lira doesn't have that as an escape mechanism. Maiden also going to be summoned up. Nice use of the Yorick W there to provide a terrain blocker so Lira couldn't go for a jump over the real wall.
Yeah, you can actually squish him away from the wall, so even if he jumps to max range, he sometimes can't get over. That wall, the Yorick wall, can actually also mess up pathing a lot. If you block off a little corridor, sometimes you try to click past it, your character just turns around and rock the long way.
Oh, the Anivia wall, classic.
Exactly. So here comes the collapse. There didn't really have the vision in place to actually go for this play, so tries to go for the aggressive steal on the blue buff. Does go over powerOfEvil anyway, and he does end up getting knocked down, so punished there. And Dhokla again, gonna lane swap away from this dual lane. No interest in going up against braum Lucian. You want to be in a side lane against GP. You want to be 1v1ing and trying to get to those turrets.
Nice triple barrel there from Solo. Got the Gangplank mechanics down. Practiced up on the champion. Trinity Force completed for both top laners. Big power spike there in that split push situation for both of them. In the jungle, also want to point out the Gragas build with the Runic Echoes. Again, we're seeing that more damage-heavy Gragas, the guy who can facilitate those one-shot initiations. Hourglass also on him means Akaadian can go in and still get out as the second Ocean Drake of the game goes over the clutch.
Yeah, we'll have to find out what this Kindle gem is actually going to be. It might be what Dardoch wanted to do and just straight into a Knight's Vow. Obviously, there's a lot of options there. But going to be curious if he decides to go the more supportive route and try to like buff up and protect his teammates, or if he feels more confident to build heavier into AP and trying to look for more damage himself.
Considering they're trying to play for this split push game, he is the front line for his side, as Dhokla will be run down by Solo here in the top lane, who needs a little bit more damage to find the kill. Follow-ups coming in from the rest of Clutch Gaming, who are able to find the collapse onto that OpTic top laner. OpTic tries to rotate over in time, but they will not do it.
Yeah, really well done there from Clutch. Solo starting to kind of get that advantage by himself. Clutch is coming in for the collapse, but he was winning that 1v1. Knowing that Dhokla did not have his ultimate, Solo knows that he has his up, so that is such a big advantage in that straight-up 1v1. Fighting without the Maiden of the Mist in that 1v1 is very difficult at this stage in the game. You didn't put GP behind early. You know, he is equal or ahead in itemization going into that fight, and Solo looking like he's just playing this very, very patiently and very, very well.
Big gets himself out of the way of the culling just in time.
That aftershock paying dividends there for Big.
It's so strong.
Yeah.
It really negates so much damage.
Yeah, the flat resistances there were huge for helping him to actually survive against that burst from Febiven.
Ooh, nice hook. Brings Febiven right back into OpTic, but he has to flash away to keep himself alive. Shockwave makes his way onto Apollo, who's also going to be taken low, but not really in any real danger. Few trades, few ultis, few summoner spells, but nobody dead.
Yep, nobody dead, and still no side lane advantages just yet here for OpTic, and it's seeming more and more like Dhokla's not going to be able to create that advantage for himself in the side lane. May need help to try to collapse and dive on a Solo to get an access to those turrets, because if in the 1v1 you can't get access to the turrets by this point, it does get very hard. The waves are getting cleared out. If Solo holds you even again, that is trouble for OpTic.
Because remember, holding even with the Gangplank is not holding even. He's going to get more gold. He's going to scale up more quickly. And especially considering he's got a kill and 35 CS up over this Yorick, he's almost 2,000 gold ahead.
And especially when it's a Yorick, right? It's kind of different if it's another champion that can then be like, all right, well, split push isn't working, I'm just going to group. Yorick doesn't really want to do that. But even a Yorick from behind like this, if Akaadian can pull off a good gank, if you burst down solo, you get access to those turrets. You can knock down multiple turrets so fast the game can start feeling like it's completely out of control. But so far, the only turrets that have been knocked down have been thanks to Clutch's bottom lane, Apollo and Hakuho, really playing well in the early stages and getting a lot of pressure out on the map, which resulted in most of their gold lead.
Where you want to be for Clutch Gaming. 3,000 gold ahead, 18 minutes into this one. Both tier 1s still standing. Big wants to go after solo here. Flash away keeps him safe. And the follow-up from Dhokla will not be there in time, considering the morning mist missed. He couldn't follow it up with the cage, and that means Dhokla is away and safe as Clutch Gaming will move into enemy territory yet again, trying to flex those muscles, steal away those kills.
Akaadian threatening to head down, though. He's actually kind of snuck around, I think, that ward on the bottom side, so he may try to wrap around, and they could look for a dive. They know Solo has no flash. So if they can get this kill, get access to the turrets, they can start to get this split push working. And this is a play that you're starting to feel like really needs to work for OpTic, as it's just getting tougher and tougher for Dhokla.
Solo has shown himself. That means it may be time for Akaadian to walk out.
Got to push it.
They're going to wait for the wave.
Yep, they're going to push it all the way in. They have the Maiden in the Mist available, so if you can get the Maiden in the Mist down, you can cage him in. There's no real way for him to avoid any of this damage. There's no real outplay for him here.
One barrel placed down. He fires it off already. Throws the ulti down onto the turret. TP is going to be coming through here as well. Solo makes the outplay, keeps himself alive, and the TP from Apollo means he lives to see another day.
Yeah, well done there from Apollo, and the collapse is coming in. 4 members down here. Febiven and Lira are behind.
Febiven's got the stun. Scatter the weak onto Dhokla. More damage coming through. Calling down onto Akaadian as now both health bars evaporate, and Clutch Gaming finds 2.
Clutch just responded to that so damn well. Solo surviving a long time, dropping the early ult to slow them down, to clear out those minions. And the baby cage did not lock him in. Dhokla unable to find that there, and they decide to bail out. They are not confident they can actually burst down GP anymore before the TP comes in, but they've already been kind of outmoved, We have Febiven and Lira already behind them. They get those kills, and Clutch is just playing such a strong game.
That'll throw another grand in the bank for Clutch Gaming, and we're now 4,000 gold ahead of OpTic, and are definitely not looking like a team that's on a 5-game loss streak right now.
No, I mean, this is a really impressive game from them. They were responding well to everything that OpTic has been throwing at them. They win the 2v2 straight up. Lira has been farming well and in the right place at the right time on this Kindred. The early gank worked out well. Solo has been great in the 1v1. He is the one actually pressuring these turrets and getting further ahead on the GP. So everything looking good for OpTic, but as I said, the game plan does not change. Whether you're ahead or behind, Yorick has to walk down a side lane. You have to keep trying this sort of style, and we'll see if OpTic can kind of spread the map and maybe depend on some mistakes.
Oh, nice shockwave there onto Febiven, who will be protected as Hakuho manages to get there just in time. Febi had no flash. Remember, he had to use that last time he got shockwaved. Could have been very dangerous there if not for Hakuho being in the right spot. But Baron's on the table now. Very important to point that out as well, as Clutch Gaming, with their current lead, could look to start taking over more of the map in terms of vision, in terms of overall control. And if they get that, then things become even more difficult for OpTic.
They really do. I mean, they're up 5K. These guys are looking very, very strong. And there was a great roam there from Hakuho to actually be in place to protect his mid laner. If he's not there with the stand behind me with that Unbreakable, Akaadian ults him in. That's an easy kill on Febiven. But this is what a lot of the game has been about. Clutch being at the right place at the right time. There to protect their teammates. There to back them up. They're anticipating the moves that can come from OpTic, and they are responding to them so damn well.
OpTic 1-4 in this game. Praised their macro before the game started, talking about how the team seemed like they had things together when they were ahead, building those leads into something more. But now when behind, they're struggling to really find any opportunity to get back in the game just yet. Akaadian seems to have maybe found something here, getting the chance to take away this Ocean Drake, put that count at 2-1 instead of 3-0 in the favor of Clutch Gaming. So OpTic at least has that little bit of a silver lining of the dark cloud that is the early to mid game of this match.
Yeah, if they get a Dragon, powerOfEvil knocks down the mid lane turret, so that's pretty nice from him. And PoE is scaling up. He's going to be strong on this Orianna. They still have good wave clear. You know, Ezreal is on 2 items now. You can see that the Muramana is actually complete. The Transform is in there too. So there's still a lot going for them. They are certainly at a big disadvantage, but as long as you don't give up the Baron, there are going to be opportunities.
Clutch Gaming will continue moving forward, clearing out some of that vision, trying to make sure those opportunities will arise whenever they can possibly encourage them to be there. More wave clear coming out from powerOfEvil, who will continue to hold this mid lane turret. Really doesn't want to yield that over, considering we're talking about map control and what you can get from taking those objectives. Mid lane tier 1 is pretty huge in terms of what it opens up for your opponents to do and where they can move and set that vision down safely.
Yeah, especially when the top lane tier 1 is already down. That's going to give you so much more easy access to the Baron, right? This is kind of that safe bastion for them to be able to have a point at which they are feeling safe and they can extend their vision out from that point towards the Baron. If you lose that tier 1, it gives Clutch even more control in this area. They will ward it up, they will invade your jungle, they will take that over, and they are going to be heavily looking towards the Baron.
Ooh, you hate to see that happen. Big Channel's, what is it, 7.5 seconds of the recall?
Yeah.
Gets himself interrupted by an unwanted present from Santa at the very end. Solo continues pushing up the bottom side. The ghouls are in the minion wave. They're trying to wreak some havoc, but they're just not doing anything. Trinity Force plus Sterix Gauge means it's now harder than ever to actually punish this Gangplank. Even if you catch him in the cage, do you really think you're going to burst him down through a Sterix at this point? No.
Not at this point. Not in the 1v1, right? You know, it's going to be tougher and tougher, and that's why you're depending perhaps on your teammates at this point to try to help you out in that 1v1 when you are this behind. If you can't burst down GP, you don't beat GP, right? Like, he's just going to keep eating oranges, keep healing up, keep wave clearing and poking with his Qs, and eventually he will take that edge. That being said, if they try to group, they try to push on Baron, and they fail around there, Yorick will crush the turrets. Yorick will get back into the game. And we have seen so many crazy split push style games where teams are mismanaging where they are on the map, and we'll see if this becomes one of those for Clutch, as Solo is back to base. Does he want to use his ultimate? Does he want to use his TP? Otherwise, you probably just give up that bottom lane turret.
Bottom side, Dhokla at least gets a chance to do his job onto the turret with the demolish like you were talking about. Gets that for his team. Their second one of the game. OpTic still down 5,500 gold. 25 minutes into this game is a pretty dire situation to find yourself in, as all the gold in Clutch Gaming's pockets means Black Cleaver now completed onto Lira, as Febiven trouble here. Akaadian wants to chase after him, but again, the flash will be there in time.
Yeah, nicely flashed out the trade of summoners, but he does get both of the sums from Febiven. He still has his ultimate available, so a nice play there from Akaadian. That's going to buy some more time, some more space, and I'm going to be interested to see if Dhokla just goes for the full-on, like, Zeus split push style where he goes to Rot Portal as well, because you basically have your Triforce is to kill the turret when you get there. Your Titanic is to push the wave as fast as possible to get there, and then you drop a Zerat behind. You just constantly push in the waves.
Put
and
more critters in the lane.
Exactly. There's just so much crap running at the turret that if you ever get to the turret, you kill it so fast, and you can really pin someone down in the lane and make it like, well, if you ever leave, I'm going to take your whole base.
I kind of want a garbage man Yorick skin now that just sends armies of actual trash at the turret.
The ghouls are just little garbage bags with legs popping out.
They're a little garbage bag. The Maiden's a big old truck. It has a special interaction with the Zerat portal where you have like a recycling bin pop up or something.
We'll get Ace on it.
Yeah.
His Star Cowboy was skin tier quality.
You guys make sure you keep an eye out for that one. Garbage Man Yorick coming your way. Soon TM. Probably not, but I can dream. Mid lane push up from Clutch Gaming now as they're trying to continue maintaining their control over this game. As we get closer and closer to that 30-minute mark, they still haven't taken down this mid lane tier 1.
Yeah, I mean, Orianna is very healthy. As long as powerOfEvil has blue buff, it's going to be tough, so they kind of need to try to deny that blue buff away, perhaps, from powerOfEvil, or he's just going to infinitely wave clear. And you're seeing that they're trying to call Solo up more often. They're looking for these potential 5-man plays where they can start something off. Because, to be honest, Clutch does not have very good engage. They have strong 5v5, but, like, how do you actually start that 5v5?
You're has to kick a soccer ball.
Yeah, so for the most part, you're just saying, okay, well, that means you have to then start an objective, make them come to you, and then get a pick.
Can they find something here? Nope. Big is so slippery on Pyke. This is a champion that when he was released, you know, they were playing up like, oh, it's an assassin support, it's this whole new thing. But one thing that I was at least surprised a lot about is just how elusive the champion is to pin down and secure a kill onto.
And the funny thing is, you know, he's supposed to be the assassin support, but then the pro players are like, but what if you just build tank anyway?
But what if you make him a tank? They're like, no, you can't build health on him. Yeah, but what if we build him as a tank anyway?
But what if I rush a Spirit Visage and take Aftershock? Well, turns out you can't die very easily, and you know, Clutch trying to find these picks, trying to find their plays, but yeah, it's not even just Pyke. The Gragas is very elusive too. They can hop over the wall, so he comes in, clears out the ward, he's gonna just jump on out very easily, and this is just pretty smart stuff here from OpTic, and Clutch need to be willing to make the more risky play. They have to be starting up the Baron, draw OpTic in, then turn for the fight. But Clutch has had very bad experiences around the Baron. Lira has been having Baron stolen from him constantly. And
yeah,
this feels to me like they're a little bit gun shy. They're not willing to make that next step. And if you just sit back constantly and allow them to farm up and to scale up and to eventually get those advantages, hey, maybe that gold lead isn't meaning so much 10, 15 minutes down the line.
Yeah, we're talking about how everything's gone so well for Clutch so far, but honestly, has the state of the game changed too much in the past 10 minutes?
Not really, right? And that's kind of the question is, how do you move to that next step? And it may be a fight over Infernal, so this may be kind of the gift that Clutch needs. OpTic want this.
Well, OpTic's here. They've got everybody. They've got Dhokla as part of this fight as well. Solo's decided to go for the ulti here. Hakuho looking for the Glacial Fissure, able to find it onto powerOfEvil. OpTic needing to retreat now. Dhokla still going to be on the front line. Hakuho taken low. It's Solo who now may be in a spot he doesn't want to find himself at. Hakuho and Solo both below half HP. Dhokla also soaking some damage. Remember though, that's your Yorick. Big wants to go in, find a hook onto somebody of value. Apollo dashing his way out of that one. They're still looking to find that Infernal Drake, but it's secured by Lira and Clutch Gaming.
Yeah, both teams gonna have to disengage. Nicely done there for Clutch, and OpTic will kite it out. They won't get fully engaged on, but they do lose the Infernal, and that was kind of a good point of conflict for them. They felt strong in that 5v5. You could see how much damage that GP was able to get down with the ultimate in the beginning stages, and once the Bait in the Mist is actually taken out from Dhokla, things get a lot harder. So either way, another advantage in the pockets there of Clutch. They are very heavily damage focused with GP as well as the Kindred, obviously their marksman bot and their mage mid, so gonna be getting a lot of bonuses from that Infernal.
Also worth pointing out here as Clutch continues sieging up the mid lane. This is it. Could this finally be win the tier 1? Well, nope.
powerOfEvil arrives, right? Like, if you don't have Baron, and if he's not low on mana, Orianna is going to slam those waves so quickly with the Ludens. So it's Clutch has to be willing to start the Baron. They have to be willing to do something. Otherwise, you're waiting for an OpTic mistake. You're waiting for that pick that OpTic
You're putting the ball in their court. Right now, powerOfEvil has full control over the ball. 3 items completed. He's got the shoes as well with the Ionian cooldown boots. Means he's at a spot where he's feeling pretty comfortable with the damage he does and just how much he can do if he can land that big shockwave into multiple people on the side of Clutch. Also worth pointing out, the timing of when that Drake was taken was just after 29 minutes. It means the Elder will be on the table the very next spawn. And for Clutch Gaming, when you already have 3 Elemental Drakes, that could be a big win for them.
Yeah, it really can. And you know, we haven't seen Clutch try to deny away the blue buff at all. Now they're trying to ult on this to actually push powerOfEvil out.
Solo wants to make it happen. Akaadian might be in some trouble, having to flash away now as finally 31 minutes into the game, Clutch Gaming forced down the tier 1 turret in the mid lane. Seeing if they can now find anything more. Akaadian very low on health, can't really be the front line that his team needs as Dhokla has to abandon the split push bottom lane, knowing that Clutch is on the way.
Yeah, that is a good proactive play, finally from Clutch. They drop the GP ultimate behind, they flash braum ult, they're forcing them off that turret because they know if they keep giving up blue buff to powerOfEvil, if they keep giving him access to miniwave, he will clear that out. So finally they push the issue and knock that down. But you know, that is another area where we could see Clutch try to get advantages. If you're trying to force a fight around an objective, hey, try to fight around the blue buff. Deny that wave clear mana from powerOfEvil, and that's maybe another edge that they could try to get an advantage over OpTic.
Akaadian, nope, he gets away just fine. Lira takes a little bit of damage on the way out. 2-shot barrage fired off. OpTic are still really thinking about this one. They want to look for something here. They know that Hakuho and Lira both have a little bit of damage into as Apollo finds a kill onto Big. Not where OpTic needs to be, as Dhokla's now going to be caught out as well. Has to flash over the wall, and Clutch Gaming have themselves a 5v4.
Yeah, they could just be going right over to Baron at this point if they want to. We'll see. Does Clutch have the confidence to go for this? They have the advantage. It is a 5v4. Dhokla has no flash. His ultimate was spent there as well, and Clutch is just going to try to get some vision down, take away some jungle camps, but not actually willing to commit just yet.
Akaadian, remember, has no flash, had to use it previously to escape the play on that mid lane tier 1. Even though this is a Gragas, even though he is a tankier build with the Knight's Vow into the Gargoyle Stone Plate, you can't just let yourself walk onto the front line and absorb the damage from this composition that, as you properly noted earlier, is so heavily itemized towards offense.
Yeah, they really are. And OpTic very scared about the Baron now. They check it with the Ezreal ultimate. Big is moving forward, but as soon as the Ezreal ultimate was used, Clutch says, all right, you have nothing left to check, and they are already on the Baron. Clutch likely just going to be able to finish this off before Gragas is even in range.
Baron down to 6K. Akaadian coming around from the side. Call from Clutch. Looks like they're going to continue trying to burn it down. Akaadian in some trouble. There comes your shockwave, still going to be secured by Lira, as powerOfEvil now finds himself caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Solo blows him up.
Clutch finally go to the Baron there. No more way for OpTic to actually check on that. They completely zone Akaadian out, making it so Lira cannot have that Baron stolen from him, and Clutch may have gotten with that what they need to close out this game. 10K up, 3 dragons. They have the Baron too.
Lira pops the Lamb's Respite to keep himself in a good spot. Off to the side. Might have been in a little trouble without it. Wants to make sure that he's not giving away any sort of a free death just yet. Hakuho now on the front line, able to find the Winter's Bite down onto Big, who has to dash himself away. Clutch Gaming have decided it is time to put the pedal to the metal, taking down the enemy inhibitor turret as well as the inhibitor behind it. Febiven flashing out to keep himself safe as Clutch will retreat. There's nothing else to find here. Febi is low on mana. Lira gets yoinked back over the wall, but he will manage to escape using the flash of his own. Gets ignited, does walk away. Team doing a good job blocking up those skill shots. Big still looking for that Kindred. Will not find it just yet. All right, he's not going to go in. Well, maybe I'm wrong. All right, no, he's good.
All right, he's out of there. But a good job from Clutch. As soon as powerOfEvil is down, you can just run down mid. You can pressure that very heavily. This sees almost all of their wave clear, really. They don't have a lot of safe wave clear. You need some very serious damage to actually knock down those Baron minions. So Ezreal, Yorick, as well as this Gragas are not going to cut it anymore, right? They're not going to be able to actually clear out those minions. And Yorick has not been able to get any significant side lane advantages, but they are TPing in, trying to potentially look for a play here around mid lane, or at least be proactive in pushing out this wave, because they know they need to contest the Elder Dragon.
It's so hard to contest it when your opponents are this far ahead, when they've got the Baron buff. But OpTic decide this is what we have to do. The game is simply waiting to lose if we give Clutch Gaming this Elder right now. They'll try to put down some vision around the brushes behind the pit itself to see Clutch's setup. But Clutch, when you're this far ahead, when you've got this much push power, you just control the minions, you take over the side, you make OpTic respond to the fact that their base is going to be in trouble. Hakuho will not find the Winter's Bite down into either of the bot laners from OpTic. But Clutch now controls this bottom side river. Now they're looking to find the collapse here onto Big. Solo around from the side, has that ultimate ready to go if they fight in one of these choke points. True Shot Barrage goes through, finds its way onto a couple of different people, aggroes the Drake as well, who will not get an auto attack off for some extra damage.
Yeah, Yorick is back in base, trying to clear out these minions, trying to get the waves pushing, but Clutch intelligently, they're going to shove up bot, they're going to have mid pushing because of the supers, and they're just kind of buying time, right? It's up to OpTic to get these waves fixed, and Clutch is being pretty hesitant, though. You can tell they really are nervous about these objectives going wrong. They want to cleanly finish out a game. They're on a 5-game losing streak. OpTic on a 5-game winning streak, and Big might just be gone.
It might shift around right here. Azael, the culling comes out. No way away from all those bullets. Apollo grabbing another kill onto Big. That means 5 versus 4. That means Clutch Gaming in total control, looking for this Elder Drake, zoning their opponents away. All you need is 2 people to take down that Elder, probably only 1. I would doubt that Lira couldn't solo it, but they'll keep Febiven there just to make sure. Clutch Gaming picked this one up for themselves. That is a huge buff. There's that win condition I was talking about earlier with all the Elemental Drake control as well. And now OpTic, I don't know how you defend against this one.
Yeah, triple Dragon Elder there. They're up massively in the gold. An inhibitor is already down. The 5v5 is going to be so tough. They get that pick onto Big. They secure the objective, and they are going to be closing in, looking to deal that death blow here as Solo's pushing up on the top side. He'll be able to knock down this turret so fast.
He's got the Trial by Fire. He's got full build. I guess he needs to evolve the Last Whisper into whichever of the choices he decides to go for. But when you compare that to the fact that Dhokla still has to complete 2 whole items, there's just no comparison between the state of the top laners right now or between the state of the teams altogether. OpTic will try to make their stand, defend this tier 3 turret in the top side. Lira's off to the flank there, making sure that if this fight does go pretty hectic, he's ready to jump towards the back line, find the damage onto those value targets. Stopwatch also up for Lira, just in case he jumps into the back. You would think, oh, well, why do you need that? You can use your Lamb's Respite. Stopwatch means you won't accidentally save anyone on the enemy team.
Yeah, and you can
Clutch to clean this up.
buy a lot of time, play more aggressively. Look at that. Oh my god, the damage on a Big.
Big barely gets himself away from this one. He'll regenerate health pretty rapidly. Solo is going to be taken down to about half, but remember that true damage burn just keeps ticking.
And that was the Shockwave, right? That is their big kind of team fight ability that powerOfEvil expended there for a bit of chunk damage, trying to look for a play, but he just not strong enough to just one-shot someone by himself there.
And here's those 2 Ocean Drakes putting in the work as well for Clutch Gaming. Turret down to half HP. Lira will be pulled forward by Big. There's your flash initiation coming out from Hakuho, looking to zone powerOfEvil away. Solo going to be brought in as the shutdown comes out for Akaadian. And OpTic will go 1 for 1 so far. Big's already out of there. Akaadian now on the front line, going to be in some trouble. Clutch Gaming make it even. They'll still continue to push. The pressure stays.
Yeah, and they can just tank up this turret. They will knock it down. Arrow trying his best to defend. A really good ultimate from Akaadian, though, splitting up the team, knocking Solo in. They get the shutdown on the GP, and they live to see another day. Both inhibitors stay alive. You know, the mid lane inhibitor respawns, top lane inhibitor is defended, so they still are in this game, but they are very far behind.
What a defense from OpTic. Let's take another look here.
Yeah, this is it one more time. They want to try to go for this aggressive play. Flash, ultimate, onto powerOfEvil, but you know, there is not enough to actually follow up and take him down. The ultimate not there. Febiven to get split up by that cast from Akaadian. Really nicely done by him, pushing the rest of the team away, bringing in the GP, allowing them to get one, and Akaadian and powerOfEvil just barely slinking away with such low health bars. If they went down, that game could just end.
We're still talking a 15,000 gold lead, though. We're still talking a situation that is massively, massively Clutch favored.
Yeah, all the cards are in their hand, right? But there is always the possibility for that misplay, for the throw.
An ace in the sleeve.
Yeah, I mean, the longer you wait, the less the gold means, right? You're already full build on GP. Anything past that doesn't really mean that much. As more members cap out, eventually you're closing that gap. You know, Yorick is getting closer and closer to completing his items. So we'll see if OpTic can do it. I feel like if you give up this Baron with this gold lead, the game probably just ends, but you know, they have to secure it first, and Akaadian has Flash, he has Smite. If he were to steal it, that would be a way to perhaps delay the game enough that you can start to even things out.
That's the task for OpTic, but Clutch Gaming really want to avoid that situation. We've already talked about how they played so carefully around Baron earlier, likely with all those memories of the missed smites, the botched objectives, fresh in their minds from earlier games this split. They want to take it as risk-averse as possible.
And it feels like they want to guarantee a pick before they commit to those dragons, right? We saw that's how it was around Baron, and then we saw them posturing around Elder, waiting until they killed Big, then they go for it. And you know, this is giving a little bit of time for Dhokla to clear it out on the bottom side, but GP clears that wave, 1 barrel, easy peasy, and full vision control from Clutch in the jungle. It's so hard for OpTic to even move forward and check any of this. I mean, they have no vision, and they are so far away from that Baron, so Ezreal is spent.
Well, Big, again, just taken so low. It's very easy to regenerate the health once you get out, but at the same time, just being in there for a second.
Ooh, this is a very important fight here. Dhokla does push Solo back and will continue the shove. Solo's actually just trying to group. He's coming from below them.
Yeah, OpTic's in some trouble here. Akaadian taken down below a quarter HP. Tries to take a swig out of the barrel, but it will not matter. Febiven's finding the kill onto him. Dhokla's pushing the bottom side, but the rest of OpTic is in some serious danger now. A double kill over to Febiven. powerOfEvil looking to stop him with the shockwave. Going to be taken down now. Arrow's got no way out. Dhokla, it doesn't matter that you're on to the inhibitor turret because it's Clutch Gaming making their way on to the next.
Clutch is hitting him with the question marks.
What's Yorick doing?
Well, there's not much Yorick can do, though. Clutch going to close this one out. A dominant win here over OpTic.
The streak is broken for both sides. Dhokla tries to defend, but it will not be to any avail. He gets taken down. They'll have to kill him a second time. Guardian Angel protects him, but protection's not going to go too far. The loss streak is over, and Clutch Gaming take down OpTic.
Clutch closing that gap with the playoff teams. one step closer to making it into those playoffs, trying to get back to where they were last split. And for OpTic, finally that win streak does come to an end. 5 losses for Clutch, broken here. 5 wins for OpTic, broken here. And Clutch played, I think, one of their best games in recent memory. This was a clean game start to finish. You look at Apollo and Hakuho, the advantages they had in that 2v2 were massive. They knocked down multiple turrets, and Dhokla was never really able to get going against Solo, partially because of some good jungling and pressure from Lira, but also Solo just played a really strong game straight up in the 1v1, surviving, never really giving any opportunities over to Dhokla.
Solo did great, and also just the fact that Clutch addressed what we talked about early on. They drafted a strong early bottom lane. They didn't just go full late game. They said, yeah, we got GP. That'll be fantastic. As Solo scales up, and he did, he can wreck the late game. But bottom side early on, we're going to take Apollo and Hakuho, these guys who have been applauded before for being strong laners, and set them up to lane in a very convincing way. And to hear more about how Clutch broke that losing streak, let's send it down to Ovly and Apollo.
Thanks, guys. Apollo, congratulations on the win and breaking the 3-week-long loss streak for Clutch Gaming. You guys went through roster changes, through coaching changes. What was really holding the team back?
I don't know, but I think we came out today and I think we played really well. It was a little bit surprising, I guess, that we played this well. But yeah, I don't know. We've just been kind of having like struggles in scrims and even on stage. So it's just nice that we played a pretty clean game, and I think we actually had a really good draft this game, so we all felt like really comfortable. I think that's what helped the most.
And this week you guys lost D-Lim as your head coach, but you gained Curry as your new head coach. So what was his contributions kind of like to the team?
Well, I mean, Curry obviously worked with us a lot already, so it was like a pretty smooth transition. It wasn't like a completely new person. And yeah, I think he just did a really good job today, and he works really well with the team. We talked to him like about pick and ban, what we wanted to do, and like I said before, it was really just about our comfort picks and playing what we did well with in scrims. And yeah, I think it really showed.
There's only a couple weeks left until playoffs, and Clutch has a little bit of catching up to do. So what do you think is the biggest change that's necessary for you guys to secure a spot?
I don't know. I think it's a pretty slim chance for us to get into playoffs. So one thing is just, we probably don't have to really, I think it's something that we shouldn't feel pressured about, and that might help us going forward, where we just play our games, then maybe look more for the gauntlet rather than actual playoffs itself, because I think it's going to be hard, but I know we can still do it. It's just there's no reason to feel pressured.
Well, I'm wishing you the best of luck in that, and take a deep breath, big sigh. You did it. You pulled off a win, and thank you again. And to wrap up the day, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Avali. Clutch Gaming snap a 5-game loss streak, as well as a 5-game win streak from the side of OpTic Gaming here with that victory in our 5th game of the day. You heard Apollo there in the interview say he's not entirely sure, what changed or why, they showed up today and snagged a victory. That's what we're going to try and determine here. But up against OpTic Gaming, one of the teams that has showcased their willingness to index into a split push strategy, Clutch found the answer.
Yeah, and I will say that Clutch Gaming has struggled a lot in close games, and OpTic has thrived in a lot of close games. This wasn't a close game.
No, it was not.
So that's part of it, right? They actually had an early game that was very effective, and it was specifically effective against the other team's late game win condition, which I think was a really good targeting of their early game pressure.
Yeah, and I think the early Pyke pick kind of came and bit them in the butt the later in the draft they went, because they ended up going for a very aggressive 4-1 split push strategy, and the Pyke doesn't fit into that at all, where he's mostly a pick champion, an early game focused champion, and they're not going to win their bot lane matchup, and then it's not going to find picks in the late game. And so once the top side started going wrong, you don't have anything in the bot side to help you stabilize. And so I think there's a bit of dyssynergy in the draft.
Absolutely. I want to dive into what you talked about there, Jath, the early lead picked up by Clutch Gaming and where they found it.
Yeah, Dhokla still just level 1. This is the second level 2 Kindred gank we've seen today to get the first blood. Super effective against this, because even though Yorick is a counter pick to Gangplank, if Gangplank gets far enough ahead, he can actually just run you down, and that's exactly what Solo does here. Doesn't even do any cuteness with too many of the barrels. Just keeps pressing Q, ults, and right-clicks him. Yeah. Because if you have enough gold lead, Yorick doesn't have the ability to outdo you.
And yeah, you see the damage.
And the other problem, too, is while that's all going wrong in the top side, your bot lane lost their turret basically solo at 9 minutes or whatever it was. So they had nothing to do to recover then, and Pyke, We had some people watching the games with us who you might see shortly.
Yes, you will.
And some of those pro players had some similar thoughts on the Pyke pick not working out. And you saw almost no items completed 40 minutes into the game.
He was so starved. This is a 42-minute, 26-second game, and he had 8,300 total gold.
I don't mean to laugh. That's sad, actually.
That is... Apollo
I'm gonna laugh.
and
That's
Solo
funny.
both had 20,000 gold. Like,
Yeah.
they were
Oh my
double
goodness.
and then some.
Yeah, at least very much full
I wonder how much
item.
of the gold
Goddamn
went into control
1%ers.
wards as well. I'm checking.
But it does showcase an intelligent strategic decision by Clutch Gaming with knowledge of how their opponents like to play to say, hey, that's where we're going to attack. That's where we're going to create an insurmountable lead that allows us to then control the map and push forward to a victory because the game's still extended to a decent length in terms of time. But they were very much in control the entire time as opposed to having a back and forth.
Absolutely. That Orianna pick for the side of OpTic was able to hold on to the mid lane turret till about 20, 30-something minutes into the game. And if you just had a little bit better support, maybe that would have helped stall that game out a little more. But even though this loss for OpTic, I still think the general strategy they were going for here was the right one, as that's what's got them this kind of late season surge that they've been on.
Yeah, you just have to make sure, like, really sure you're not going to win the game at level 1, but you can lose the game if you're Dhokla that early on in the game, or at least get punished for it. So take that learning going forward. And for Clutch, it's got to feel really, really good to break that 5-game.
Right, even more so, right, in a split when your win condition is the side laner and the side laner gets killed at level 1, that's when you really get yourself into a pickle. But I do want to talk about a 7-7 OpTic Gaming. We flew the strength of schedule up onto your screen, but I'll just remind you here, Liquid, Echo Fox, TSM, and 100 Thieves. It's not an easy last 4 games here for our 500 team in OpTic.
Basically 1, 2, 3 plus TSM, who they're fighting for, probably for that playoff spot.
They're showing some signs of life, right?
Oh, yeah.
TSM is what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, 1-1 this week. They still need to find their wins to actually get that spot, but it's not like they're out of the playoff race at all. So OpTic is going to be one of the people fighting for that 5th, 6th spot.
We're projecting 9 wins gets you playoffs, but it might not. You might need 10. It just depends on how it goes off. You might also need 8, depending on how these things go. But even so, playing against the top 3 and then also TSM is a very hard schedule.
Yeah, finding 2 wins there looks difficult.
Right, they went 2-2 against those teams in the first half of the split, beating Fox and TSM, losing to 100 Thieves and Liquid.
And that would be great. 9 wins probably gets them playoffs.
Right, if they can do it. That's what we've been saying for the likes of Cloud9, the other 7-7 teams currently. Now, before we hand it off for NALCS tonight, let's check back in with predictions for the day.
We're doing it.
You guys do pretty well.
And specifically, we beat the pro players that we surveyed before the day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Beating the pro. Not even they know who's going to win the game here in the summer split of 2018.
I am way happier to be back above just 500.
I'm proud of you both for that.
It's been really
It's been a
dark
good
times.
weekend for the 2 of you.
Ooh.
And if we pull out of the predictions itself,
I saw
I
these
figured
fly
it was
behind
about
us.
time we gave honors for the day, as
So
we were
Mark
talking
gives
about it
honor
earlier.
to literally no one.
No. This
I'm
is who's
confused.
received honors. So
I didn't get an honor.
everyone elected to just skip the honor screen when it came to Mark.
Doesn't that actually lower your honor to not give honor?
Who did they
Does it?
pull?
I don't know. I just imagine it would because you're kind of a
Let's
jerk.
go ahead and say that it is.
Yeah.
Honor somebody in
Give
your
honor
game
to
so
someone.
you
Who
don't
voted
lose honor.
not to, like, who was polled and chose
I didn't
not
get to
honor?
vote for this.
Oh, yeah, none of us voted.
Yeah.
So was it just
This
production?
was YouTube. A suggestion that was pulled off of
Okay.
YouTube, I've been told,
Okay.
that we should honor near the end of the day. Clearly, nobody, or Mark.
Yeah, that's my question.
Mark has a
Who
lack
didn't
of
give me
faith.
honor? I don't care
Well,
why.
an attitude like this is exactly
What do you
why
mean?
didn't get it.
Yeah, you're starting to honor 1 mark, by the way. Like you don't even get to start with honor 2.
Right.
I don't-
Jad and I got those nice orange
Yeah.
flowery
Play to win
symbols
the game,
above our
right?
portraits.
I think I'm honor 4, checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2.
Yeah, I'm kind of right about
I got
the same
3 on the
same
green
spot.
one.
I don't know what that
Do you
is.
still play League of Legends, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
Alrighty, well that's going to do it for us here at the desk, which means it's time to toss it over to Freak, Zyrene, and Afro Moo for NALCS tonight.